Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Critical Mass. The three of us here, self-isolating as far as possible, except, Mark went to a beach, I went to a beach, and Paul decided to hang out on a leaf. And I kind of like my area better. It's a nice, cool breeze. Mark decided to go to the Jaws beach. However, that is kind of appropriate because we're about to talk about Jaws. So we were trying to think, now that we're all in staying at home mode and we have to be there, there's not a lot of new stuff coming out to watch. And so we decided to look back at some of our favorites. And one of the favorites that came up automatically was Jaws. And Jaws, by the way, was the very first official movie to ever be titled Blockbuster.
I have not seen it before watching it for this video.
Yeah. Paul had never seen it. Mark, have you seen the original Jaws?
In sort of snippets. I don't think I ever watched it from opening frame to closing frame, no.
Okay. I saw it. And I saw it 1 week before my parents decided to drive me down to Nova Scotia as a kid to the cottage on the ocean.
That's awesome.
Not a good idea. I was terrified the entire trip.
Okay, so here's the thing about Jaws, though. Jaws is renowned enough that even though I had not seen the whole movie, I am not comfortable in ocean water for that exact reason.
I do remember you going on snorkeling with me doing like this when we were in the ocean.
Absolutely. My first question is there sharks here? And of course the answer is yes.
Yes, there are more sharks in the ocean than there are people on the earth. So yes.
You're just reinforcing the fact that I'm the alpha male of the channel.
Yeah, of course you are.
Yes, he is. So, Paul, you've never seen the movie. What did you think of Jaws?
Well, I was surprised to find that what I thought was a kind of like a almost horror movie was not really that scary. Like, I don't know. They had the music. Like, the music is renowned for being really tense, but I didn't find a whole lot of scary in that movie at all. It's kind of like watching a drama.
But that's what was good about it. It wasn't a horror movie. It had a horror movie element.
There's literally like 15 minutes of shark footage in that entire movie.
Yeah, it was a drama. And it was all about Sheriff Brody and them going out and hunting the sharks. Now, the characters, you got to admit, what did you think of the characters in the story?
Well, which ones particularly?
The three main ones. You got Brody, you got the shark hunter.
Well, okay, so Brody, I thought, I was looking for him to be the hero, and he wasn't very much of a hero figure. He kind of didn't know what he was doing. He let the mayor walk all over him. He let the ship's captain walk all over him. And at the end, he got lucky. And so he wasn't really a hero. And Quint, I don't know, I thought he was kind of cool on the ship, but, kind of cringy when he had to sing a 5-minute song and he had to listen to it.
I like the scene.
He didn't sing it just once either.
Nope. But I did like the scene in the movie when the three of them are sitting around and they start showing them their scars.
Good.
And they're one-upping each other.
Was that the first movie that did that?
That was one of the first movies to ever do that in there. So there were so many things in this movie that are like firsts.
I will say this. When I was watching it, there were several times when I would recall scenes in other movies. Oh, that's what they were referencing. That's what they were referencing. And all these references came back to me where I knew that they were referencing something. I wasn't quite sure what, like the yellow raft in the water and the angle coming up. That you see in a ton of movies. It came from Jaws.
How about the camera work? Remember the scene on the beach where Brody's sitting on the beach and all of a sudden something happens in the water and you hear that music, zoom, and you see the close-up in the face where the background stays the same, even though they zoom in. That's a dolly zoom. That was the first time that was ever used as well.
Yeah.
Now it's used all the time.
So there was a lot of good firsts.
I think they use that twice in that movie. Once in a hallway and once on the beach.
Yeah. Well, this movie, I'll be honest, it scared as a kid. Don't forget, we're talking many, many years ago. We're talking 40 some years ago for this movie. The technology that is available now to make horror movies and scary movies far outdoes the movies from back then.
I will say that the prop for the shark was pretty convincing.
Yes.
For back in the 70s?
That shark almost bankrupted the movie because it kept breaking down on them every day when they were trying to film, to the point where they had to reshoot after reshoot after reshoot to try and get the shark to work at all.
Well, they should have just trained a shark.
They should have. I mean,
What'd you think of Richard Dreyfuss?
What did I think? I like Richard Dreyfuss from his Close Encounter days, obviously.
Yeah, but what'd you think of him in this movie?
I liked him in this movie. This was a different role for him because he's kind of like the brainiac in this film, and he's usually the sophisticated person in most of his roles. He's the older gentleman, sophisticated. He knows what he's doing. In this one, he gets kind of flustered sometimes in this, and I like that.
He was the expert.
He was the oceanographer. He knew that, but he wasn't the expert at catching sharks. And Brody was the fish out of water in this one. And of course, Quint had to pass away because Quint was too cocky.
Spoilers.
Yeah, in case you don't know, Jaws, somebody dies in the movie Jaws.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's just funny. Remember, as a kid, I kept on going, why are you sticking all these barrels in the shark? Just shoot the dang thing. No fish can go down with 2 barrels, and there's like, 20 on his back at one point. In fact, I expected the boys to come up when he attacks the boat at the end because there's all these boys around him like this. But
and I thought the barrels were a great strategy. I thought that was fantastic. I love that part.
That was good for tracking, I guess. But as a kid, you just said, shoot the damn thing. But to this day, Jaws to me will always be the classic. It was a good mix of characters and repercussions of your characters, because even the mayor went out with his kids in the water and regretted doing it. And there's a scene where he admits, my kids were in the water too, and things like that, which you never seen in most films. Usually those characters never have a comeuppance unless they're just killed.
But you know what? I don't even think he was doing that because he was admitting fault. I think he was just trying to defend himself in some way.
Yeah.
What's that?
I'm one of you. That's
Yeah.
what that was.
Well, one thing did you notice in this? The children died in this movie. And that was unheard of when Jaws came out.
Well, one kid?
Yeah. It was never done. You've never seen that on camera, ever.
So
and this movie went there.
So back in the day when you saw this, what do you think people were rating this movie?
This movie was rated, what do you mean? Like, how did they, what, as
at
a
the
horror
time,
movie?
out of 10,
or,
what were people saying this movie was out of 10?
They were
13.
They were saying 9 and 10, easy.
Yeah. It was a
Easy,
blockbuster.
easy.
So given everything that you've seen, like modern day, how does this movie stack up modern day?
Story-wise, I still think it stacks up. Special effects-wise, no. It's not near what it is. However, look at movies that came out. Jaws 3. When it came out 8 years afterwards, and it was 10 times worse special effects than were in that first movie.
I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
You get how many movies can you look back on that's 40 years old and say that was still a good movie? Not too many.
Yeah, it was good. It was good, but I gotta say that I don't know. Stylistically, it was like watching an old movie. Like, and it's difficult to do for me anyway.
See, I'm old, and so
This is true.
But I can, when I sat down and I've watched Jaws again recently, other than this video, No, I haven't sat down in the last 5-6 years and watched a Jaws movie.
Here's the thing, and I don't say this about a lot of movies because once I've seen it, and I really don't feel the need to go back to it very often. I would watch this again.
So what would you give it, Paul, right now? As a
Right
watch?
now, like stacked up against all modern movies kind of thing?
No, just if you were going to rate this movie right now as something to watch on the weekend, what would you say it's worth it? Would you say no, don't? There's plenty of other films. What would you say?
I'd give it a solid 7.
Well, we haven't seen too many movies in the past 7 months that we've given a 7 and above to.
No, a 7 is, I enjoyed it. It was all right. It's good.
Yeah. Now, considering that's 40 years old, flashback to 40 years ago, your 7 would probably have been a 9 or a 10.
Yeah, probably.
So there you go. That's Jaws. That's not, we didn't do a coverage of the story. We just give you our opinion on it. And if you haven't seen it, like Paul, it definitely is worth watching because it was groundbreaking in many, many ways. And see some great acting performances in this movie and some of the very first visual effects that scared the crap out of me as a kid.
And of course, the score has to be mentioned.
That soundtrack. Dun-dum,
How many times has that been referenced in other movies?
And you know what? Tell me to this day, Mark, if you were out in the water and you're looking for
That's in my
stingrays
mind.
and all of a sudden you hear dum, you're getting out of that water right away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there you go. Jaws, 7 out of 10 from somebody who's never seen the movie. Mark and I like the movie. And considering it's 40 years old, why not give it another try? Sit down on the weekend and give it a look at it. Let us know what you guys think of Jaws. And what do you think? Is anything compared to it, really? That was the original blockbuster. And that started the summer movie trend. So let us know what you think down below. And why not check out some of our other content? If you can see my hands. And until next time, we'll see you on the channel.